never used to say that, my God, there's a sparrow, because they used to be all over the place. Sometimes the most common birds are the ones that just disappear completely.
An avid birder and an author of children's books, Ranjit Lal laments the slow disappearance of the friendly house sparrow.
We've had sparrows nesting on my balcony, two families, perpetually fighting like a soap opera. Somebody's husband is liking somebody else's wife, and they're fighting away. It was quite amusing to watch. But all that, they've just disappeared.
A frequent visitor in our houses not so long ago, the severe decline in sparrow sightings, particularly in towns and cities across the world, has been a cause of concern. News reports and surveys peg the decline at anything between 20 to 80% in various parts of our country. Under stress, these birds have a tendency to disperse to more favorable spots, leading to local extinctions. Ecologist Sohail Madan points out how, as a result, the problem has become more acute in urban areas.
Sparrows like living close to human beings. In the time of recent history, we were living in houses which were accessible. It was not air-conditioned, airtight living, not so much pollution. So we were not so separated with the outside world, and the sparrow had access inside our houses to make nests. Then, because we were living close to the land, we had storage of grain, and they were getting food also. And the most essential thing that we need to understand about decline of sparrows, it really leads into most of how the whole ecosystem is connected, is to understand that the sparrows depend, for breeding purposes, depend on insect life around their area. So the dwindling population of insects due to poisons being used or due to pesticides, urea, eradication for mosquitoes, it kills all the insects. So if our areas are insect free, the adult sparrow doesn't have high protein rich food to feed to the chicks. When the chicks are growing up, they eat up massive amounts of food. And this food has to be provided by the parents at beck and call.
Sprawled across more than 40 acres, the Garhi Mandu is a city forest in East Delhi. Since 2022, the Delhi Forest Department has been working here to bring the sparrow back to us. About 1.5 acres of this urban forest has been dedicated in creating a unique village, especially for these little birds. Goraiya Gram, as it is called, translates as a village for house sparrows and is an effort in creating a habitat as close to its natural one as possible.
For the sparrows, we have created a few insect hotels. These are structures where we want and we induce the insects to make their home. And this is a ready supply of insects for breeding sparrows, which are breeding in the nests that we have made. We have made some wooden box nests and put them at different locations in the hope that they are adopted by the sparrows in the locality. Apart from that, we've also planted shrubs like jhadber and adusa, some grasses which the sparrows can eat.
Sparrows tend to disperse frequently over short distances. Here, the open green space gives them a chance to flit from Goraiya Gram to the fringes of the city outside Garhi Mandu. A veteran staff of the Delhi Forest Department, Hari Kishore, has been working at Goraiya Gram since the beginning.
जब से गोरे ग्राम बना, जब से काफ़ी संख्या में गोरे ये चिड़िया काफ़ी बढ़ी हैं, लोगों को जागरूकता हुई है, लोग देखने आते हैं यहाँ पे।
"52-year-old Sanjay Gupta visits Garhi Mandu every day for his morning walk. He has grown to feel a sense of ownership towards the forest and a sense of responsibility for the birds.
मैं चाहता हूँ यहाँ पे जितने भी लोग आते हैं उनको एक अपने आप में एक जिम्मेवारी होनी चाहिए। अगर कोई पॉलीथीन में कोई बर्ड्स के लिए कुछ लाए हो तो वो आप जेब में वापस पॉलीथीन जैसे मैं लेके जाता हूँ। अगर कोई फेंक भी रहा है तो हमें चाहिए उसको टोके, हम टोकते तक नहीं है।
30 kilometers from Goraiya Gram, we are now at the Aravali Biodiversity Park. A sprawling forest of more than 650 acres restored by the Delhi Development Authority. A thriving habitat for several species of wildlife and a place of pride for nature enthusiasts. Here too, since 2014, about 40 acres of forest land has been turned into a sparrow conservatory.
This is also one of the grass species the diet of the house sparrows depend upon. They eat the fallen seeds and sometimes they feed on the typical grass on the pods also of this grass species. So they provide a very good material for the food material of the house sparrows.
Dr. Hussain, wildlife ecologist and scientist in charge of the Aravali Biodiversity Park, explains why the site was strategically chosen and developed, keeping the needs of sparrows in mind.
House sparrows are semi-urban bird and they require ecotone of habitats, the urban or the wild or the forested habitats. So we have given this space for them as a semi-urban habitat for house sparrows, where you have the feeding, the wild material they require, and the breeding space. Here you have the building or the crevices. So it is ecotone for both the things they require for survival of their lifespan. This is another species called Sankarus.
Over the years, more than 500 species of plants have been introduced at the Aravali Biodiversity Park to cater specifically to the house sparrow, species that aid their breeding, resting, nesting and feeding.
For building material, they require a specific kind of twigs, all the wild varieties. So they require nesting material also. And if the fledglings or the brood they come out of that, they require very specific kind of the feeding material, like the caterpillars or the weevils or even the insects also. So that insect should be the wild varieties. So the insect they will be just supplied through, and it should not be far away from the places, so that they are not predated. So this kind of exclusiveness you require to just have all these things. This very particular plant, Carissa, so it has a dual benefit to house sparrow, like it provides shade during summers, they enter into, and at the same time they provide the fruit also if it is available at the time.
We have made this insect hotel, and you can see that these are the small bamboos we have just kept over here, and you can see the holes also there, and they have made nest and then they just cover themselves with the mud in this. And now that's why, and now the thing is that this is the harsh winter season also, and they are the cold-blooded, so you won't be able to see so many insects outside in this season also.
Keeping a close count of bird species at the park for the last 15 years, Dr. Hussain tells us how the house sparrow population has been growing locally. While earlier confined in pockets, today they can be sighted all over the park.
This park also has mosaicness. So if they have contiguity within, so they will be spreading. So they are increasing in a very, very good way. Means abundant of this. Even I've seen 200 sparrows at one time in pocket.
The fact that they were once ubiquitous may have led to the notion that the house sparrow isn't really that significant. But ecologists, time and again, have countered the misconception. These birds are an inherent part of the food chain, playing a massive role in controlling insect populations and thereby food grains.
Losing sparrows would mean that we have lost a lot of insects. The birds that depend on the sparrows are going to decline, and it will have a cascading effect through the ecosystem. We have an example of in China, they declared it a vermin, and then there was rewards for killing sparrows, and then there was massive shortage. In 3-4 years, there was massive shortage of grains. So the ecosystem is connected. So they had food shortages because they started killing sparrows.
Creating natural habitats like these in urban forests are vital interventions. But known to be our friendly neighbors, preferring to live alongside humans, it will take more effort and sensitization on our parts before the sparrow truly comes home again. Thanks for watching Eco India. If you like the story, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Scroll.in on YouTube.